everybody. It's the Pickswise NFL Show. Welcome to the playoffs. It's time for Wildcard Weekend, and my lovely co-host Jeff Reinebold and myself, Rachael von Oranje, we are going to get you set for all the best bets and picks and spreads and parlays to bet your money on this weekend. All right, Jeff, you ready to get going?
Let's go. It's playoff time.
It's playoffs. Talking about playoffs. Jeff, before we get into Saturday's slate, we have 3 games on Saturday. Before we get into that, is there anything that you may have noticed or stands out to your mind about Week 17 of the NFL?
Week 17 was like Week 17 usually is. I mean, other than the craziness that went on with the NFC East and the pot shots that the Giants players were taking at Philadelphia, and to be honest with you, I still don't get what was happening with the quarterback shuffle in Philly. But, they have the right to play the players they want to play. And, the Giants really took it as if it was some sort of personal attack on the Giants or the credibility of the game or whatever. But, the whole weekend, like the Cowboys go into that whole deal and they got a chance to really put their foot on the division and win it, and they lay an egg, and just some of the things that make this such an incredible game, because you really never know. And anybody that thinks that that there's a walkthrough for anybody in the playoffs is got to think again.
Yeah, the Cowboys were a big disappointment to me. Not that I have a dog in that fight or anything, because I don't care about them. And as you said earlier in the season, best quote I've heard all year, the Cowboys are the toothless girl? No, she's really pretty from far away, but as soon as she smiles and you see that she has no teeth. Anyways, I don't have a dog in that fight. But I thought that Andy Dalton was highly motivated to come in and challenge perhaps maybe the starting role for Dak Prescott. And it kind of looked like he was getting his arm back, and it just looked good. And you thought that this team had enough in it to win, and sure enough, they let you down. It's as soon as they build you up just to let you down, kind of like my Falcons. But I digress. Well, Jeff, let's get into the playoffs. I'm so excited to do this. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Jeff, the first playoff game of Wildcard Weekend, it's the Colts heading to Buffalo to take on the Bills. And as of Wednesday, that's today, that's whenever we record, the Bills are favored by 6.5 points with a point total set at 51. The Colts finished in the 7th seed in the AFC, beating the Jaguars 28-14 to finish the season at 11-5. Now the Bills, they won the AFC East for the first time since 1995, finishing in the 2nd seed with a 13-3 record. Josh Allen was in the MVP conversation for most of the season, kind of dipped off a little bit through the midway point, but he's back. I don't know if any quarterback in the league is hotter than him right now. He played lights out in Week 17. Dude ended up getting benched in the 4th quarter. It was phenomenal. Jeff, Buffalo is 6-0-1 against the spread in its last 7 games, okay? Indianapolis is 15-7 against the spread in its last 22 games against teams with a winning record. And obviously, Taylor's emergence, right, has been a major boost for that team. The Bills are favored by less than a touchdown here. These are 2 very good teams. Do you think that the Colts can keep it tight, or does Buffalo get it done by more than 7?
Well, Buffalo, I think, wants it to become a shootout. I mean, that's really become their identity offensively. Miami has a chance to come up to Buffalo in your division and make a statement and get a playoff berth. You're a 10-win team, and you go up there and they hang 50-some on you and really dominate the game. I think the Bills could have scored 80 points if they wanted to. And that's amazing, because Miami usually plays pretty good defense and special teams, and their offense struggled. It was just a complete domination by Buffalo. Buffalo really should have won 10 games heading into the playoffs, because that one blip off the radar screen where they lose at the last play in Arizona. But other than that, Rachel, they've just dominated everybody they played. If you put stock in who's playing hottest as you get to the playoffs, this is the hottest football team right now. So I think that's a team that we really got to look at really closely. Where are their possible weaknesses? Well, maybe inside against a team that can run the ball inside. And that plays well to Indianapolis, because Indianapolis has a great offensive line. They're really strong inside. Taylor's a great between the tackle zone runner. I think they'll gain yards there and they'll try and keep the game close. If they get behind, it's going to be tough on them because, Phillip Rivers is Phillip Rivers. I don't know if he's got the weaponry or the arm to match Buffalo throw for throw. So in this game, on the road, all that it means to Buffalo, as well as they're playing right now, they're relatively healthy. Cole Beasley's probably going to be out for this game, but they have plenty of weapons at their disposal. I just think this is a game that Buffalo will win and they will cover.
Yeah, Buffalo obviously should win. It's kind of crazy to me that it's Wildcard Weekend and we have a spread this high, 7 points basically. So that's kind of wild. Look, Josh Allen is hot right now. The dude can run, he can throw it. He's got plenty of people, and Zach Moss and Devin Singletary that are highly versatile. They can run, they can catch passes. I mean, by all accounts, Buffalo should win this game. But I'm going to tell you something. The Colts are going to cover. Phillip Rivers is not somebody that I have a ton of faith in as a quarterback. But Chris Ballard has put together a phenomenal roster over there in Indianapolis. Like, you look at that squad and you just think, wow, if you had a slightly younger Phillip Rivers, you might actually be in the Super Bowl for like the next 2 or 3 years in a row, or at least in high contention for it. Phillip Rivers has been waiting on this for a long time, okay? I don't remember the last time he played with a roster this good. And I really like their head coach, Frank. And you know what? The Colts defense is tied for 5th in the league with 25 takeaways. Their defense ranks 2nd against the run. They're only giving up 90 and a half yards per game. Like, I don't know, man. I think this is going to be a close game, and I do think it's going to be a shootout because I hear you say that Phillip Rivers doesn't want to get in a shootout with Josh Allen, and I've heard a lot of experts on TV say the exact same thing today. And it makes sense, right? Because Josh Allen's so hot right now, and he's young, and Phillip is old, and we're just about done with him, you think. But that's all Phillip Rivers is a gunslinger shootout type of quarterback. This is exactly what he wants, I feel like. Like, he wants to prove himself. Like, Phillip Rivers is going to keep it close. And I don't know who wins this game, but I'm absolutely taking the over, and I absolutely think it is going to be a shootout. Jeff, tell me how wrong I am. And are you taking, what are you taking with the point total 51?
I'm not saying you're wrong. It may end up being a shootout. It may, because Buffalo, where Indianapolis, and you're right about that Indianapolis defense. Eberflus has done a great job there, and they're strongest up inside with Buckner and Houston and Leonard and all those guys in the front seven. Where they've got a problem, and we saw this in the second half against Pittsburgh, is they have a hard time matching up one-on-one outside. And when you think about Buffalo, who are they going to put on Diggs? Who are they going to put on Hollywood Brown? They've got the ability to score a bunch of points in this game. I really do believe that. When I talk about a bunch of points, I'm talking about over 30. Now, can Indianapolis do that? I'm not sure. So if we say it's a gunfight or a shootout, then you never want to bring a water pistol to a gunfight. And I think that that's what we'd be doing if you match Phillip Rivers against Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, it could go. I mean, you could definitely talk me into it, Jeff. But for the sake of banter, I'm going to stick to my guns here. I see a high-scoring shootout. And don't sleep on T.Y. Hilton, okay? T.Y. Hilton is a deep threat, and he has really come back. I mean, living here in Houston, I watched him destroy the Texans every year, twice a year. That guy would go off for 200 yards and like 3 touchdowns, specifically against Houston. So maybe I'm a little bit biased in how great I think he is. But I think we're going to be seeing a lot of this. T.Y. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that. And don't be surprised. In the prop bets, a lot of them haven't come out yet. But the Colts have a tight end that can play quarterback, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some trick gimmick plays happen in this game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. There you have it. Let us know in the comments below what you think. You got the Colts or Bills Mafia? All right, Jeff, let's talk about the second Saturday game. It's the Rams versus the Seahawks in an NFC West playoff matchup. As of Wednesday, the Seahawks are favored by 4 points, and the point total is set pretty low at 42.5. The Rams, they finished with a 10-6 record. They finished in the 6th seed position. Jared Goff remains uncertain to play in this game. So we may see John Wolford again. He played okay against the Cardinals, I guess. 58% completion, 231 yards, 1 interception. I guess that's as good as you could expect. Now the Seahawks, they won the NFC West with a 12-4 record, taking the 3rd seed in the NFC. Blows my mind, especially with how hot they started off, that I honestly at one point thought this team was going to be undefeated, but I digress. The defense. Jeff, these teams have played each other already twice this season. They've split it 1-1. Seahawks favored by 4, Rams 4-point dogs. I don't know. The Rams, they allow a league low 18.5 points per game and have yielded more than 24 in the past 8 weeks. Will it be enough to hold off Russell Wilson in that Seahawks offense?
Well, again, Sean McVay is doing what a good coach would do. He's not going to tell you who his quarterback is. And that makes this one really, really hard to handicap because, Wolford did do a good job for his first start in the National Football League last week. 258 yards, like you said, over 50 yards rushing. I don't think that's – I heard a statistic. I can't verify this because I haven't had time, but I think that's the first time they say that's ever happened for a first-time starter in the National Football League. So that's an incredible accomplishment by that kid. But this is the Seahawks defense now. And when you look at the Seahawks defense, they went through that stretch where they were really struggling. But in the last month, OJ, they are the number 1 scoring defense in the National Football League. And they're coming into this game with confidence. They're coming into this game having beaten beaten the Rams the last time they played them. I think the schematics of this game were really interesting to me as I watched the 2 previous games. The Rams really, I thought, outcoached the Seahawks the first game, and then the Seahawks came back, and their defensive plan against Jared Goff last time was impeccable. And what they did was they made the Rams one-dimensional. They took away the run and made Goff beat them. And Goff's not capable of beating them when they're one-dimensional. He needs the running game. He needs balance in the offense. He needs, the speed sweeps and the bootlegs and all the things that make their offense special. If he has to go behind the chains and get in the drop back game, it's going to be tough. And the same thing would be true of John Wolford. I like the Seahawks. I thought that was a character win they showed last week against San Francisco in a game that, quote, didn't mean anything. They had to come down at the end and drive to win it, and that's what really good football teams do. And again, when you compare playoff football, the first place you start is with the quarterbacks. And in my mind, there's no comparison, even if Goff does play, between Goff and Russell Wilson. So I like the Seahawks in this game.
Yeah, I like the Seahawks as well. I mean, these 2 teams saw each other, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the Seahawks handled them pretty well. You made a good point talking about how well the defense has played in the last 3 games. Coming from where they started off this season, it was like historically bad, but it looks like they're coming into form right at the right time, right? And that's usually who ends up making those deep runs, those teams that get hot at the right time. Last time they played, I wanted to emphasize this because it cost me some money and some prop bets. Cooper Kupp was held to 66 yards and Robert Woods was held to 48 yards. Literally looking at the box score, nobody stood out. And, Jared Goff, he threw for over 300? No, he threw for 234 yards, threw an interception, 0 touchdowns. So that Seahawks defense was holding up in the red zone. The Rams only scored 9 points. And if you can keep Cooper Kupp down, I know people talk a lot about Robert Woods, but to me, Cooper Kupp is the X factor for the Rams on offense. If they can keep him under 80 yards in this game, I think it's for sure win. And just to talk about the quarterback thing, I know for a fact that Jared Goff has been throwing in practices and stuff over there in LA. I don't think there's a chance in hell that he doesn't start this game, but Sean McVay's doing what he should do is say, I don't know who's going to start. I get it. It's cool. But I do think that Jared Goff is going to play, which makes the game a little bit more intriguing. But with that being said, I think the Seahawks win. Really hard to say if I think that they cover by 4 because it is a divisional game nonetheless. And Aaron Donald is still over there on defense. But I'm going to say the Rams cover. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. The Rams cover. Seahawks win. Now, what do you think about the point total? It is ridiculously low. What did we say that it was at? 42.5 points. What do you think about that?
That's as low as I think I've ever seen, OJ. And I just really think that these teams, while they're quarterback deficient in Los Angeles, and all the controversy about that. Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, they'll get in the end zone. I recognize the Rams have a great defense. I'm not trying to take anything away from that defense because they've earned it. But 42.5. Wow. I mean, that is low. And it's hard for me to see that these two teams won't score 20 points apiece. That's basically what you're talking about. So I'm going to say over.
I'm going to go with the over too because it's 2021 now and 42.5 is so low. We even see DC is scoring more points than that in their game. So come on now, 42.5. Nope, not happening. Now, for some reason, I'm incredibly wrong and Jared Goff does not play in this game. Consider taking the under. But I thoroughly believe that Jared Goff is going to play. So for that reason, I'm saying that it goes over. All right, guys, there you have it. Seahawks and Rams. Who you got? Let us know in the comments below what you got. What you thinking? Jeff, let's get into it, baby. Let's talk about Saturday night football. I got to do that. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, they are heading west to take on Chase Young and the Washington football team. That's crazy that they have to go to DC to play this game to me. I don't know why. Anyways, as of Wednesday today, the Buccaneers are 8.5-point favorites, and the point total is set at another very low, 45 points. Washington, they won the NFC East with a record of 7-9, and there was a lot of controversy, obviously, surrounding their last game. I saw you tweeting about it. Everybody's tweeting about it against the Eagles when Philly decided to put in Sudfield over keeping the rookie Jalen Hurts in. But Washington can only beat what's in front of them, right? So props to them. Chase Young has been the talk of the town, him and Alex Smith. But, I mean, now late season, it seems like Chase Young is actually now the star of that team. It's amazing. And the offense has shown flashes of brilliance, okay? So we're not going to sleep on them either. Now, the Buccaneers, they finished the season hot with 4 straight wins. And don't look now, but that guy, Antonio Brown, he's had 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games. Mike Evans probably isn't going to play in this game as usual. I feel like he had a knee injury against my Falcons, but definitely need to keep an eye on that. As I have learned, you and I filmed this show very early in the week and things change. Okay, so keep an eye on that when making your bets. Jeff, anything can happen in the playoffs, right? I've seen some crazy upsets over the years, but is it a step too far to think that maybe DC could beat the Buccaneers or keep it close at least? Are you expecting a blowout? How do you see this going?
I don't think it's going to be a blowout at all. I think, you look at the two teams, how they match up, and it's a defensive club in Washington, led by those 5 first-rounders they have in the defensive line. If you study Tom Brady's history, where he gets nervous or where he has problems or where his challenges lie, typically it's in teams that can rush for and get to him and play zone coverage behind it so that he has to hold the ball. And, you look at the way that this Washington team is built, they will be a challenge because that is a very, very good front seven that they're going to face. The secondary is better than people believe. Ronald Darby's playing really good football right now. Cameron Curl, this rookie that they drafted in the 7th round, has had a tremendous year. They're playing with confidence. They believe in each other. I think if you saw some of the things that came out of Washington after the game, Ron's not making any excuses for winning games. They're in the playoffs, and there are other teams that are sitting at home and going to have to watch them with better records. They don't care because they're in the playoffs. Now, I would be a little concerned about my defensive leader calling out Tom Brady, as Chase Young did, but that's Young. I mean, that's being Young. Think about this one, Rachel. When Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl, Chase Young was 2 years old. Think about that.
Yeah, he got drafted, I think, when he was 1, right?
Yeah. So you gotta know that first of all, Tom doesn't need any emotional fire, but certainly you don't want to do that to a guy as prideful as he is. The Bucks, they still got Godwin, and they've still got Brown, and they've still got Scotty Miller, and they've still got Gronk, and they've got Brait, and they've got plenty of weapons. Rojo's healthy again. They've got depth at running back. The offensive line, I think, is better than people give them credit for, because everybody wants to talk about the superstars on that team, but they're pretty good up front. Tristan Wirfs and Ali Marpet and that crew, they're better than people think. I think they'll win the football game, but I think Washington's going to make it really tough on them, because that's the kind of team Ron Rivera's built there. If Alex Smith turns the ball over, it could turn into a blowout. But if he plays like he's capable of playing and manages the clock and manages the game well, and Gibson can run the football a little bit, and McLaren will make some plays on the outside, it'll be a good football game. That scares me, that 8.5 points in the playoff. That's a big spread, and especially to a team at home. So I'm gonna take the Bucks, but I don't to win it, but I don't know if they'll cover 9 points.
Yeah, I do not have them covering 9 points. First of all, not that it's necessarily relevant. This is a new coach. This is a new team, whatever. But DC as an underdog is 5-0-1 against the spread in its last 6 meetings. So you have that right there. And that is mainly because of their defense. Like you said, Chase Young, after the game, saying, we want Brady. And I love the fire. I love to see it. With that being said, be careful what you ask for, young buck. But with that being said, the defense is so freaking good. And the times that I have seen Brady, I almost said Breeze, the times I've seen Brady get rattled and look flustered is against really good pass rushes. Like you said, those teams that can rush for and get to him. He starts getting happy feet, and it's one of those games. I feel like it's going to be one of those games where he gets really frustrated, and you see Brady's face is all red and he's mad and maybe throwing his helmet on the ground. With that being said, they're going to come out of this with the win. But DC is playing at home. It's the playoffs. I don't remember the last time DC was a playoff team. It was probably Robert Griffin III, if I had to guess. But Brady is going to get it done. He has to get it done. There is no excuse not to get it done. He will get it done. But DC is going to cover thanks to that defense. That defense that has allowed 17 points or fewer in all of its 7 regular season victories, and finished 4th with a defensive scoring of 20.6 points per game. So their defense, when Alex Smith can't put up points, their defense can put up points for them. And Brady, especially right now in 2020, 2021, is capable of throwing a pick 6. We've seen it happen already. So with that being said, DC is definitely going to cover. Now the point total. This is another really low one, Jeff. What do you see? 45 points.
I'm going to say under, because I just don't think, unless Washington scores on defense, I just think it's going to be really hard for them to put drives together against. Again, one of the things about Tampa Bay is because they got so much star power on offense, nobody talks about their defense. But, Ndamukong Suh, Jason Pierre-Paul, at every level of the defense, they've got players. That rookie Antoine Winfield at safety was a revelation this year. So they're better than people give them credit for, and I think that they will have a field day against a really, really limited Washington offense.
Yeah, I do think that the defense will score a point in this game. I really do. That's just how I see it going. For that reason, I'm going to take the over, but anybody is welcome to debate me on that one. I will not fight you very hard. I could see it going either way, but I'm definitely taking the prop bet. Brady over 0.5 interceptions. It's happening. It's going to happen. Watch. That being said, I'm going with the over. Jeff's going with the under. Now, Jeff, really quick, producer Ben's in my ear. He wants to clarify, are you taking Washington to cover? Put that on wax.
No, I'm telling you, Washington will not win the game, right?
Right.
Tampa will win the game, but they will not beat them by more than 9. So Washington can cover the spread, but not win the game.
Perfect. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to clarify, and for the audience as well. So there you have it, guys. We both have DC covering 8.5-point dogs. And Jeff is taking the under 45 points. I'm going with the over. Let us know in the comments below what you think. This is going to be a defensive game. Is there going to be some offense put on the board? Is all 45 points going to be scored by the Buccaneers? You can talk us into anything. Let us know in the comments below. All right, Jeff, are you ready to lock it in? Give us the Pickswise lock of the week. Give us your best bet of the week. Not the week, sorry, Saturday. Saturday's best bet out of that 3-game slate. What you got?
I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. No team hotter in football right now. Indianapolis, again, has some deficiencies that I think the Bills will work over. It's in Buffalo. I know there are no fans in the stands, but for everybody that has ever been in Buffalo, they understand what it means to have a playoff game at home again. I'm beginning to get the feeling like Buffalo is a team of destiny, and I think this is their first step, and they'll come out and play real well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that I heard that this is the first time all season that the Bills will have fans in the stands. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that I heard that. And that being said, that is a rowdy fan base, and they have been very hungry for this. So the Patriots have just tormented them for so long, as they have everybody else in the AFC. But it's finally their time, and I'm with you on that. I don't know about the spread because, as we said earlier in the show, I have the Colts covering. But I digress. You always do well in this segment, so I trust you. I'm going to stick with the same game for my lock of the week, Jeff. I have the point total going over 51. I feel very secure about that. If you heard earlier in the segment, I talked about what a shootout. Everything that everybody keeps saying the Colts don't want to happen, I think deep down inside, that's exactly what Phillip Rivers wants to happen. That dude is a gunslinger, and I am here for it. The point total's going over 51. That's really low. That's our Pickswise lock of the week.